So here we are, film number 42, the last one of the series. I hope you've already watched all of the previous 41 films, so you'll know what I'm talking about. It takes time and study for understanding to build up. Thank you for sticking with me on this journey of growing awareness. We need a revolution, a peaceful one, based on education and making life better for all. This fundamental change has to happen within each and every individual. One by one, the light bulbs need to be switched on. Although, in reality, we're talking about turning up the dimmer switch rather than the light you flick on or off. Human beings have lived in the shadows, in the darkness or dullness of ignorance for far too long. We need a brighter future. Whatever changes in society have happened to date, and many of these have been beneficial, the overall improvement has nevertheless been limited. The basic problem remains, entrenched and persistent. I'm talking about the ubiquitous me-first psychology, what we call selfishness. Our process is exact and practical. If you follow this process, you'll see for yourself that it works. Yes, we're often dealing with what a lot of people call intangibles, sometimes going deeper into what's traditionally been called ineffable. But despite this difficulty, our understanding of psychology is clear and coherent. We've described this process of change as a dual framework approach, as two maps. On the one hand, there's our 16 key factors, the nuts and bolts or components of capability. Equally as essential, our second framework or map details the avoidance syndrome, which, you'll know by now, will frustrate change if ignored. This selfishness protection should never be underestimated as the main area of frustration to any good intentions. Special mention must be given to the absolute need for an anti-hypocrisy test, something which is usually, conveniently and shockingly overlooked. Actions speak louder than words is needed to show up the areas of weakness and contradiction. A process for change must be deliberate. This can genuinely begin once you have a solid grasp of our dual framework approach. The understanding allows anyone to see the bigger picture, but also the necessary and relevant detail. By now, assuming you've worked through the previous 41 films in this series, you should be beginning to see. Of course, you have to want to look, and it takes study, focused thinking. Most people can't be bothered to put in the necessary effort. They're either too emotional, perhaps coupled with being excessively opinionated or argumentative, stuck in entrenched cognitive bias, or they rely on the more basic strategy of shutting off, distracting themselves. A sizable minority are willing to think. However, a lot of this category of people rapidly find themselves faced with an inevitable crunch point. They have to be prepared to take on the challenge of change, looking at their own weaknesses and limitations. What probably begins as an intellectual interest must develop into a no-nonsense practical process of personal development. Our anti-hypocrisy test makes this unavoidable. This no-bullshit moment of realisation marks a major break from the usual existing ways of viewing or approaching personal or spiritual change. Most individuals, finding themselves on the spot, will quickly wriggle off the proverbial hook. The usual justifications of "I'm too busy" or "it's not the right time" will be trotted out, or some equivalent. An easier path to change will be preferred, with little or no thought as to whether or not it's real. Too many people love to play, happy to fool themselves and others. All of which leaves an even smaller percentage of people who are interested in thinking more and understanding more, but, crucially, aren't terrified or otherwise put off to actually do more. These individuals are genuine candidates for going beyond the normal boundaries. There's flexibility and sincerity. One of my favourite props from this series of films are these prison bars. It's worth stressing one last time how people are stuck, imprisoned within the normalised me mentality. Letting go, breaking out, is easier said than done. To do so, you really need help. A world-class coach is crucial to enable best learning. The exact know-how of an instructor is obviously important, but so is the continuous and immediate feedback that such an expert can provide. The very best coaches have 4 standout qualities. First, he or she must have many years of experience so as to possess a wealth of task-specific knowledge. There's a detailed framework so the coach can push students to deeper and deeper levels as they progress. Second, a master coach is highly perceptive, able to figure you out and know where you are in the framework, spotting exactly what you need to learn next. It's necessary to tailor or customise the training to different individuals, including an ability to mirror the limitations which need to be challenged. Third, an ability to zap or push the students is essential. At times you've got to shock them and then shock them again. This involves lightning-fast connections, using the first 2 qualities. Fourth, a top coach must have integrity and a theatrical honesty. This is required to enable best communication through a deep connection with a student for the purpose of imparting the detailed knowledge. I wouldn't have reached where I am without considerable and specific coaching from the best coach available. Early on, I had my own version of a heap of past shitty baggage to see and work through. I thankfully succeeded in achieving significant change. I understand every little nook and cranny when it comes to psychological avoidance. The same goes with our 16 key factors. I'm not a hypocrite. My actions consistently match my words. Our work has reached the point where we're now looking for additional team members to help us achieve further progress. We fully know what we're doing, with decades of practical application behind us. If you want to get involved, to be part of what's needed to initiate the next step forward in human evolution, please get in touch. Send me an email following the simple guidelines on the interviews page of our website. When I got involved many years ago, I was pretty much average. Yes, I had the spirit of an adventurer and I was looking for deeper meaning and purpose, but there wasn't much else. Nobody would have guessed I'd end up as the director of our work. So if I can learn and do well, you can too. Average is okay as a starting point. When you're in your 20s, it's probably unreasonable to expect anything else because society doesn't exactly encourage excellence. If you're older, then I would be looking for evidence of more success or capability, but not if you're younger. Please don't worry if you think you might not be good enough to get involved. Let me assess that one during our interview process. I'm basically looking for individuals who can demonstrate they're willing and able to learn, to do more than just mess around. Bursting the bubble of selfishness is the mother of all challenges. Most people out there in the playground of personal or spiritual development haven't yet even identified that there's been a long history of failure. To be bluntly honest, they're clueless. As I've said before, it's a case of the blind leading the blind. For example, the ignorance is shocking of just how deep avoidance goes. It's been said that all truth passes through 3 stages. First, it's ridiculed. Second, it's violently opposed. Third, it's accepted as being self-evident. Individuals have had rare glimpses of our human potential throughout recent history. Despite this, the lack of reliable knowledge on this subject is worrying. It means we've still got a long way to go before humanity can think of itself as being mature. Global problems and individual suffering demonstrate the current dysfunctional situation. We need to make life better for all. Nothing less than a revolution in how we think and act will do. Bolting on a bit of new behaviour to the existing mentality won't work. It just isn't enough. We have to do more. Much, much more. So, that's it. We've reached the end of these 42 films. You'll probably want to go back to film number 1 and re-watch them all, as you'll have missed plenty of information along the way. There's a lot to digest. And I hope to hear from you. Our email address is on the websites, links in the description below. Take care and do your absolute best. you.